Get him. Down, boy. I'll take that.
Agent down.
I got set on fire. Fuck out of here. I killed myself. I killed myself. Ain't that a bitch?
I know, what? A shotgun? Yeah, well this is going to be a unique build guide video for shotgun and AR for PvP that focuses on DPS and survivability. Ultimately, I just wanted to be unique with this build. Sick of seeing the same build guide over and over again. So either way, I guess let's get into this and see what I got. And the whole aim of this build is PvP, dealing high damage while having survivability, which is something that's lacking right now in pretty much all builds. For my primary, I am running an assault rifle, the FAMAS. In my opinion, it's the best assault rifle in the game if you can handle the recoil. I have two variants, one with headshot damage, one with damage to targets out of cover. I also have as my backup the AA-12. All three of these are running strained for that 50% ramped up crit hit damage. For my mods, which you get these from tier 4 and I believe tier 3 control points, they all have crit hit chance on them, and for the magazine, the additional 20 rounds, you get that from tier 4s as well. It's important to note that crit hit chance is better than crit hit damage on weapon attachments, because you roll higher crit hit damage on your actual core attributes. Alright, for the gear I'm running, I'm using the exotic mask. For the talent pack instinct, I gain that 25% crit hit damage all the time when using my shotgun. For my chest piece, currently I have two variations. I'm running the 0Fs. With pretty good rolls on it, and it also has perfectly unbreakable, 100% armor back if my armor breaks, 50% in PvP, which gets boosted. I'll explain that. And believe it or not, I run efficient. This is a talent that nobody uses when used with the armor repair kits for Firestarter. You get a lot of survivability in PvP. I'll show that later in a test environment so you guys can see what I'm talking about. For my backpack, obviously crit hit chance, crit hit damage, incoming repairs, and I'm running versatile. When I switch to my shotgun, I get a 35% damage increase. As you can see where I'm going here, I'm trying to make my shotgun as strong as I possibly can while keeping a good DPS on my rifle. My goal is to get contractor gloves with good rolls, but for now I'm using the Grupo for crit hit damage as the brand set, and I got some good gloves from that. I'm using the Seskas for now as knee pads. I tried the Fox Prayers from the clan vendor. Unfortunately, the weapon damage is too low for me to get a substantial damage boost. Honestly, I tested them both out and they both did about the same DPS for me. So that's the only reason I'm not using the Fox Prayers. And I end up getting a higher crit chance. And for my holster, I'm running a Fenris with pretty good crit chance, crit damage rolls on it. Little upgrades to be made here and there. For skills, currently I'm still experimenting with this one. I'm running the Restorer Hive. I like to drop it whenever I pull out my shield and just get that healing to my armor whenever my armor gets damaged. Another alternative to this is the drone, either the Fixer or the Defender. I think the Fixer's heal is kind of weak, so I would recommend using the Defender to block damage. And for my secondary skill, I'm stuck with the shield, but it's not your average Crusader shield. This is the Crusader shield from using the Firestarter class. It's actually modified where I can use the flamethrower with it, but you also get 10% damage bonus per enemy in front of the cone. And I'll demonstrate that, and I'll demonstrate versatile in a bit, just so you understand how they both work. And I figure I'd show you my two sidearms that I used. The backup boomstick has good rolls on it, but I like the 1911 because I already have the AA12. The most important thing is I have 56% crit hit chance, but I have 118% crit hit damage. It's a high number. I like to build crit hit damage because I have strained as well, so I'm getting more like 170% when strain's ramped up. If I had contractor gloves, this would be a lot stronger. I would have the armor damage. Right now I'm at 0%. So that's the one thing I need to do to get my DPS up on this build. If you have those, I recommend you run those over what I have. I've got a low all weapon damage bonus. That's because I have 2 blues, so I'm getting that armor. Versatile, like I said, is very strong. It works with my AR and my shotgun. Probably one of the most important parts of the build. My armor, like I said, I'm sitting at 1,000,000. I have 32% incoming repairs, which is very important to PvP Unbreakable. It actually increases the repair of your Unbreakable, so you go over 50%. Mine's more like 70%, 80%. This also works with Efficient. I use this with the Firestarter specialization. Basically, that restores 300% armor and health over a duration of 10 seconds. That ability, stacked with Efficient and getting incoming repair stats, makes that basically you have 10 seconds of just straight God mode where you can face roll pretty hard. I'll show it later in the build. I do a little test in the DZ where my friend trades me with an LMG, and I sit there and just try to tank the damage, and he's able to down me, but for me just standing in place, the amount of shots is insane. So you'll see that in a bit. Showing off versatile, if you notice the orange buff that's applied to my weapon when I swap, that indicates that I'm getting the damage bonus. The white debuff applies that I can't get that bonus. If I have 2 white debuffs, and you'll see right here, I can't switch to the other weapon and get the damage buff unless one of those 2 whites unapplies. And finally, showing off the Crusader shield for fire starters. Notice the cone in front of me. Any enemies within that cone take 10% damage, and this stacks, so if there's multiple enemies in front of me, I get 10% per enemy. There's also a blue cone behind me that gives a damage bonus for allies. I mentioned using Efficient, as well as that shield that I use with my specialization. Personally, I do use Firewall for those 2 perks. You can also use Gunner, that's what a lot of people are running, as well as Demolitionist is always a good to go for PvE specifically because of the GL. But for Firewall, you unlock the Striker shield for the Crusader version of the shield. I talked about it earlier. It gives you the damage bonus for you and your teammates. It also, which I forgot to mention, counts as a skill level 2 automatically, so it has more health than a standard shield. The bottom right talents are average. Nothing too crazy down here that I really run this for. I guess whenever your armor breaks, you do burn enemies around you. That's good when you're running around with a shotgun. And the armor kit for this specialization works extremely well with Efficient, recovering your health and armor over time, and that actually doubles from 200 to 400%. Now I'm going to do some damage tests in Dark Zone with my friend, where we can test some of these abilities in action. This is his build. He's got an LMG build, 1.1 mil armor. He's rocking Unbreakable. So in theory, I'll be DPSing through about 2 mil armor. showing off the chest piece talent efficient, getting that 400% armor repair over time whenever I proc a repair kit. And he's gonna full spray me. We do multiple tests with this just to see how much the heals are, and as you see, I was healing probably about half my armor, so about 500k per second. Unfortunately, this only lasts for 10 seconds, but for a quick burst DPS on multi-man group, it's pretty good to have. That mixed with repair skills increases that as well. And this is going to be the final test where he's full spraying into me to try to down me using all my abilities. You can see I survived a good 50, 60 rounds there. And now we're going to do a face trade just to see what my DPS is like to his. Not using my shield, swapping to my shotgun, chunked down about 1.1 mil armor, and broke through unbreakable in no time. I believe this one using my assault rifle. We have the same result. I do take a lot more damage in that one, but I do down him before he downs me. Yeah, and that pretty much sums up the build. I hope I was descriptive enough with how talents work and stuff like that. I see a lot of these build guides just show a bunch of stuff on the screen and not explain or show tests of how they actually work so you can understand them better. That being said, there's some 1v1s, a little bit of PvP footage from an early version of this build that implemented Striker, actually, and some PvE gameplay and challenging. I don't recommend you use this build for heroic missions just because the enemies deal so much damage. But yeah, if you enjoyed the build guide, feel free to like and comment the video. Let me know if you got any suggestions for me to improve the build, or any recommendations of a build you want me to make. These builds take a lot of time to properly make a build guide video. I don't like to make build videos and have bad gear on. I like to try to get min-max gear so you can see how strong the build actually is. And with that being said, watch your back in the dark zone, and I hope to see you guys on the next video.
Nearby agent has become rogue. Rogue agent nearby. Rogue detected. Rogue seeker mine detected. Rogue agent neutralized. Rogue agent eliminated. Detonated gear detected. Neutralized. Electromagnetic charge detected.
run. Now